Young and Restless preview. Matt faces his worst nightmare. Plus, how much is Jack willing to risk? Although Nick and Sharon have found their lives turned upside down by the return of Matt Clark. The latest Young and Restless preview indicates a big change is about to rock the story. Brace yourself, Matt, because you aren't ready for what's heading your way. Plus, Audra reads the writing on the wall regarding her future with Nate, and Ashley learns of the danger Kane poses to them all. It's time to accept it's over. Nate joined Victoria and the Newmans for Thanksgiving and made amends with Victor. Of course, Nate and Victoria's reconnecting hasn't gone unnoticed by his ex. Coming up, Audra seems to have realized she's out of chances with Nate, what with all her lies, and can see he's moving on. Can Audra do the same? Or will she resort to more schemes to get what and who she wants? The Man with a Plan. The Abbott Thanksgiving was full of surprises, one being Ashley's return home. But the family's celebration is sure to come to an end when Jack sits his sister down to explain the weapon they're facing that could bury Jabbo, Kane's AI program. Of course, Jack has a plan. He's just not sure Ashley will like it. Matt faces another Newman in LA. Matt sent Nick and Sharon on a twisted manhunt through an abandoned hotel in search of Noah. Fortunately, Nick had spoken to his father about Noah's disappearance and Matt's return, with the mustache eventually realizing that Nick hadn't told him everything. So of course, Victor hops on a plane to LA. Coming up, Victor walks into the shadow room as Matt is telling Detective Burrows that they deserve the hell that is coming to them. That's when Victor spots Matt, who is likely to regret messing with Sharon and Nick again. Read the Young and Restless spoilers to find out whose buttons Audra decides to push, as well as what's in store for Noah and Sienna. Night had fallen over Genoa City, blanketing the skyline in a quiet that felt unnatural for a town so used to chaos and scandal. Somewhere beyond the glowing towers owned by the sprawling Jabbo Cosmetics empire, in a house that had lately known more secrets than sleep, Matt paced like a man waiting for a verdict he already feared. Matt was still new enough to Genoa City that people hadn't fully decided what they thought of him. Some considered him charming, others cautious. And some, especially those with a keen eye for trouble, sensed a storm lurking beneath his measured smiles. Tonight though, there were no smiles, measured or otherwise. Only tension. His phone buzzed. One glance at the screen sent a cold sweat prickling through his hands. A blocked number again. He swallowed hard. The silence felt like it was pressing itself into his bones. This wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a wrong number. It was someone who knew how to rattle him. Someone who had already taken too much. He let the phone ring out. But the message that followed turned his world inside out. Stop hiding. I know where she is. His breath stopped. No. They couldn't have found her, not after everything he'd done to keep her safe. And then, before he could stop it, the memories he'd buried surged up, jagged as broken glass. A woman's scream, Matt's trembling hands, and the terrible truth he'd sworn would never reach Genoa City, but maybe it already had. Meanwhile, across town inside the polished wooden office of Jack Abbott, the man himself stood behind his desk, staring at a contract that seemed to glow like a beacon. Or a warning. Jack had been in business long enough to know when he was standing on a cliff edge. He also knew he wasn't alone on that cliff. Every choice he made reverberated through the Abbott family, Jabbo, and even Genoa City itself. Billy's voice echoed in his head. Jack, don't do anything reckless. Not again. But the situation had become untenable. Jabot single quotes S future was on the line. Not existentially, not yet, but close enough that Jack felt the warning flames licking at his heels. The sharks circling the cosmetics industry weren't just hungry, they were desperate. A single misstep could give them everything they'd lusted for over decades of rivalry. And then there was the matter of the blackmail. Jack tightened his jaw. He should have seen it coming. Should have known better than to trust someone simply because they claimed they wanted to help Jabba. Yet here he was holding a contract that offered salvation with one hand and demanded catastrophe with the other. His phone, vibrated. A message from Matt. I need your help now. Jack exhaled slowly. Matt wasn't just another Genoa City stray who'd wandered into town hoping for fortune or redemption. He was someone Jack had taken under his wing, maybe too quickly, maybe too boldly, maybe too willingly. Jack grabbed his coat. Whatever Matt had gotten himself into, Jack suspected it wasn't something small, and tonight, it seemed both men were about to face consequences they'd long feared would come. Matt met Jack at the dimly lit rooftop of the Grand Phoenix, wind slicing through the air like a blade. Even with the city lights burning below them, Matt's face looked pale, drawn, and almost hollow. Jack approached cautiously, the way a man approaches a cornered animal or a wounded one. Tell me what's going on, Jack said. Matt didn't meet his eyes. I think someone found her. Jack frowned. Who? Matt swallowed, voice barely above a whisper. My sister. Jack blinked. The sister you told me passed away. Matt nodded slowly. Shame clung to him like a stain he couldn't scrub off. She didn't die, Jack. Not really. I lied. I had to. Jack folded his arms, his expression unreadable. Go on. Matt's voice trembled. She was involved with someone dangerous. Someone who wouldn't let her walk away. I helped her disappear. I thought I covered our tracks. But this message, he showed Jack the phone. Jack read the text and felt his stomach drop. This wasn't a casual threat. Whoever sent it wanted Matt terrified. And they wanted control. Matt, Jack said quietly. Who exactly did your sister get involved with? Matt closed his eyes. The kind of man you don't cross unless you're prepared to lose everything. Jack absorbed those words with the calm of a man who'd heard variations of them for decades, but the wary twitch beneath his left eye revealed his concern. You think he's in Genoa City? I think he's already here. Jack placed a steadying hand on Matt's shoulder. We'll handle this. Matt laughed bitterly. You don't understand. This man. You can't negotiate with him. And once he realizes you're helping me, he'll come after me too. Jack finished with a nod. Good, let him try. Despite the quiet bravado, worry gnawed at Jack's chest. He'd already risked so much. The future of Jabba, the trust of his family, and the delicate stability he'd rebuilt over months of effort. Now Matt's troubles threatened to pull him deeper into chaos. And yet, Jack couldn't walk away. Not when Matt's eyes were filled with the same desperation Jack had once carried himself. 2 hours later, across town, a dark sedan pulled into the abandoned outskirts of Genoa City, the place where the lights faded, the night thickened, and secrets felt safest. A tall man stepped out. His shoes crunched on gravel as he surveyed the forested edge. The night didn't frighten him. Nothing did. He reached into his coat and pulled out a photograph, a worn, creased picture of Matt standing next to a young woman with haunted eyes. You can run, the man murmured to the photo, but you can't hide from me forever. The wind carried his voice away, but the threat lingered like poison. He pocketed the photo and headed toward town. Jack returned to Jabba, where the boardroom lights glowed with sterile brightness. He stared at the contract again, the weight of decisions piling atop each other like bricks. The blackmail had begun 3 weeks earlier. Anonymous tips, veiled threats, subtle pressure. Someone wanted leverage over Jabba, and they wanted it badly. But now Jack suspected the truth was far uglier. The man chasing Matt and the man trying to own Jack just might be the same. Which meant the threat wasn't just personal, it was corporate. Jack clenched his jaw. He could sign the contract. He could sell a piece of Jabba, the family legacy, the life's work of John Abbott, to someone who didn't deserve it. But that would be surrender. And Jack Abbott didn't surrender. He needed answers, he needed allies, and he needed Matt to tell him everything. No more secrets. No more half-truths. No more evasions, because the only thing more dangerous than an enemy in the shadows was not knowing why he was coming. When Matt returned home, he found his front door slightly ajar. His stomach slammed into his ribs. He stepped inside cautiously. The living room was barely touched except for a single object placed deliberately on the coffee table. A silver bracelet. His sister's bracelet. Matt's legs nearly buckled. A folded note sat beside it. He forced trembling fingers to open it. Tick-tock. That was all. 2 words. 2 syllables. Yet they detonated inside him like an explosion. Matt sank onto the couch, gripping the bracelet as though it were oxygen. For years, he'd protected his sister from a monster who wouldn't stop until she was back under his control. Matt had sacrificed everything, his relationship, his career, his stability, to save her. But now the monster had followed him across state lines, into Genoa City, into the life Matt was trying so desperately to rebuild. And worst of all, he was dragging Jack into it too.